Hey there, welcome to Takeaway with Sam Oches, a podcast from Nation's Restaurant News. I am Sam Oches, editor-in-chief of Nation's Restaurant News. This is the show where I give you an all-access pass to the restaurant industry's most influential decision makers. This week, I'm talking with Darden Coors. She is the CEO of Salad Collective, a Denver-based portfolio of 3 fast casual brands focused on healthier foods: Mad Greens, Snappy Salads, and Tokyo Joe's. Salad Collective is preparing to scale Mad Greens through franchising, and Darden joined the podcast to talk about the potential that she sees in the healthy eating category across the U.S. and why franchising is the perfect way to tap into that potential. In this conversation, you will learn more about where the healthy eating category could go from here, why having multiple brands in your portfolio is just as challenging as it is exciting, and why catering is the perfect solution to lagging traffic. Jumping now into my interview with Darden Coors, the CEO of Salad Collective. Also, don't forget to stick around after the interview as I will share my 4 takeaways from this discussion, actionable insights that you can take with you on the go. Have you heard about the California Food Service Instant Rebate Program? You can save up to $3,000 instantly on energy-efficient food service equipment when you purchase from participating dealers. Find out more at www.caenergywise.com/instant-rebates and find a participating dealer near you. Skip the paperwork and save instantly on your food service equipment. That's www.caenergywise.com/instant-rebates. Darden, welcome. Thank you so much for joining the podcast today. I'll have you explain that title here in just a little bit because I love that creative title you got there. But let's just start by how you got into the Salad Collective. Tell us what this organization is out of Denver that you're building, how you specifically joined this company.
I joined about 9 years ago. We formed a partnership with the owners of Mad Greens. So we bought in as a majority partner and then added Snappy Salads to our brands in 2019. So formed the Salad Collective as sort of the operating company for both of those salad brands, and then added Tokyo Joe's to the mix just in September of 2022. So have 3 healthy concept in the fast casual realm of restaurants. Super excited about that. And my journey here has been kind of a non-traditional one, but started out as a lawyer, doing real estate law, and then in-house, and eventually worked with a restaurant company and kind of got the restaurant bug, and decided if I had the chance to do that again, that I would jump on it. So
the classic real estate lawyer to food service CEO story. That's great.
Cliche.
I'm sure that it helps you in your expansion, which of course we're going to dig into here because I know you guys are expanding, and I know specifically today you're talking about a franchise initiative for Mad Greens in particular. But I want to start by talking about these 3 brands in the portfolio: Mad Greens, Snappy Salads, Tokyo Joe's. Tell me about the strategy of how you are adding brands to this collective. What about these 3 brands did you see as having potential for something to grow into something bigger?
Yes. Well, I think, Mad Greens is the one that we're growing with right now, but, proven concept out of the home market. And Snappy Salads was an add-on. They're just in the Dallas market, but they have a unique approach on food. They came with a great team of operators and a chef, which we didn't have on the Mad Green side. So got to add to the team and add to the flavor of the brand. The idea of growth by acquisition or merger has been part of our strategy for several years, of finding that homegrown, fast casual, primarily in the salad space, was our initial target of taking that and then bringing the best of these brands together to hopefully form a really great, strong national salad-centric concept or collection of brands. The Tokyo Joe's acquisition was a little more opportunistic, but in the healthy vein. They came with a great team, Colorado, founded in Colorado, and so close by the teams. We can collaborate together well, and we think they have an amazing growth opportunity. They're kind of unique in that space. So there's not a lot of competitors in that healthy Asian category. That I think is a great opportunity for growth.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Being called Salad Collective, are you intentionally, do you intend to continue to add brands to this collective within salad or healthy categories? Is that kind of the goal? Is that why you named it Salad Collective?
Yes. So, billboard. Yes, we'd love to talk to people who might be interested in collaborating with us. So, yes, the name was sort of intentional that way. The Tokyo Joe's is a little spin on that, but from the healthy perspective, we haven't changed the name yet, but um, but we think it still fits with our core values and what we're trying to do.
Yet. So it sounds like we got a rebrand coming on one of these brands. We'll have a TBD on that one. Talk about that on the next conversation. I've talked to a number of leaders over the last several months of other organizations that are working to scale through a collection of parts, that are adding brands to portfolio to tap into that economies of scale. And it feels like a really good time to do that. I think just considering the economy where it's at, and this year seems to be all about efficiencies. And so it seems like a lot of people have that on their mind of add more brands to your portfolio to tap into the potential to scale quickly and learn from the brands to figure out some efficiencies across the brands. Is that on your mind too? Are you guys looking, what is the process, I guess, of building Salad Collective into something bigger? Do you feel like now is a good time to look for further acquisitions?
I do. I think the economic pressures are heavy, and the benefit of the Snappy acquisition for both Snappy and for Mad Greens was overhead efficiency and really simplifying. We were able to absorb and remove a lot of the outsourced resources that Snappy had, and help it be profitable. So you get to a certain size and you have a certain amount of admin that needs to get done, and that gets harder to cover until you have some scale. So I do think scale helps. I think having multiple brands is challenging. Trying to keep each identity and trying to keep each what's unique about each one alive and well, and it's twice the marketing and all. So there's some inefficiencies that come with having multiple brands as well. But I think post pandemic, a lot of people are burned out. A lot of people's cash is starting to wane again, and margins are tight. So I think it's a great opportunity for strategic partnerships to grow both the brands that we have as well as add to them.
Got it. I'm curious, is supply chain a big part of that, efficiencies at scale with Salad Collective? I imagine your supply chain is critical to the success of your restaurants. Does that feel especially like something that you guys are hoping will be easier the more you add some of these brands that are focused on high quality, healthier foods?
Supply chain's part of it for sure. I think the other pieces, which are probably less visible, but accounting and IT systems. So being able to support things in house with the talent we have, payroll, some of those administrative functions that cost money but don't necessarily get exponentially more expensive the more units you have. And supply chain is always a place people look to find efficiencies, to find savings, again, balanced with you don't want to take away what was key to the brand. So we're sensitive to that, and not trying to dumb down any of our brands into one sort of mishmash of something just to save a few pennies on supply chain.
Sure. All right, so we're going to get into the expansion efforts you have underway here, but I am, to set the table a little bit, I am curious about sort of the state of healthy eating. It's obviously been on the rise for a decade, and I talked to somebody recently that they pointed out, this is never going, this is not a trend. It's never going away. Healthy eating will only continue. But just from your perspective, you look around the restaurant industry, you look around the country and the state of healthy eating, however you define that, what would you say is the state of things?
I think it's the strongest it's ever been. I think we took a little dip during the pandemic when we all wanted pizza and fried chicken and some more indulgent and comfort food stuff. But coming out of that, I think it is stronger than ever. We've always had a lot of interest from people, wanting to see if we could bring Mad Greens to their communities, but it's stronger than it's ever been. You can see it with the growth of other healthy concepts around the country. And it's not just your, homegrown one or two Z's in your hometown or a major metropolitan center. You're seeing them around in less populated communities as well. And the demand there is high. So having a concept that works in both suburban, urban, and rural areas, I think is one of the strengths that we have as healthy eating does become, not that it was ever not mainstream, but really more as mainstream as burgers and fries, I guess.
Yeah, certainly more accessible, right?
And more accessible. The children are learning about it. The idea of healthy eating instilled at a young age, and really seeing the benefit of that, and reinforced through cultural things, athletes and social media and other things, really giving it the credibility that it deserves in the marketplace.
And to that end, talking about that idea of expanding into not only suburbs, but also exurban and even rural areas, I guess, what is your demographic for each of these three brands? Well, first off, is the core demographic for these three brands the same? If yes or no, how would you define that demographic that you guys are trying to access through these brands?
Well, I think traditionally our consumer has been higher educated, a little more well off, but that's changing too. And the challenge is going to be reaching, the different ends of the pendulum on the customer base as pricing gets more challenging and accessibility and with interest rates so high, people's disposable income at the lower end of the economic scale being a little more challenged. But it's men, it's women. We're about 55% women, 45% men. So not super female oriented, not super concentrated in one particular age group either. So everything from young kids to retirees and everything in between. The core tends to be your professionals in your 20s, 30s, 40s, coming from an office or working from home. And our goal is to have a brand that can resonate with people from all ends of the spectrum and provide kind of a place where they're welcome and they're not judged for whatever their version of health is. Sort of to your point earlier of healthy might mean something different to each of our guests. It might be you're trying to avoid soy because it upsets your stomach, or it might be that you're trying to lose weight, or any of those things on the spectrum of health that we're trying to attack today. Even your mental health. I think how we eat really does affect our brain health and how we feel and how we approach our day. So all the above.
Yeah, absolutely. I just got done eating a salad for lunch, and one that I prepared myself. Well, my wife prepared for me. I can't take credit for that. But I mean, just, feeling like, okay, I feel good for the rest of the day versus the gut bomb. Yeah, I mean,
Right.
I think it's becoming more and more of a familiar thing for Americans to strive for that. Okay, so the big news here, the headline is you guys want to expand Mad Greens through franchising. Why is that? Why is now the time to franchise this brand?
I think all of the things have come together. I've spent 9 years with the brand, trying to grow, prove it out in multiple states, multiple cities, and that the demographic is not just your Colorado active, healthy lifestyle person, but it can be that person who lives in any community, and the economic model. So, the same store sales year over year over the last 2 years since the pandemic has been strong. So we're really seeing that demand rise and the economic model be beneficial to a franchisee. I come from a pretty entrepreneurial family, and the idea of franchising is great to support local communities and other entrepreneurial people, give them the opportunity. I think what we learned by growing Mad Greens out of state is we don't know a lot about other states. Our whole team is here. So partnering with people for whom this is their home community, I think is a great benefit of franchising. You really get that connection. You get the local inside knowledge, you get the passion, and the small business person who can really advocate for your brand in the new community. So we're really excited about that.
Franchising, of course, a big thing that comes up with brands deciding whether to or not to franchise is the concept of control. Of course, you're handing over control to operators, that are buying into the business. Of course, you have some levels of control in picking who those people are, but still, you're giving over some control of this brand. And I know for a lot of quality oriented brands, I think sometimes this is a point where they're like, should I give up control of operating this high quality menu to somebody else? And I'm just curious, from your perspective, for a concept like Mad Greens, where you guys are focused on fresh, high quality foods, how do you ensure that the operators coming in, the franchisees coming in, will protect that quality?
Hopefully we do our diligence and we find some great partners. But you have high standards and you enforce them with good partnerships, good communication. The idea is to be successful, like our company-owned stores can be. You're going to have to operate the same way and provide the same level of quality and the same customer experience with hospitality and service. And so having great training, having great follow-up with a market person who can visit with the franchisees, hold them accountable, but also coach them and be really great business advocates for our brand and for the small business owner or large business owner, whoever the franchisee might be. But clear standards and sticking to them up front. So there'll always be the challenge of, I could get my chicken cheaper, I could, a different cut of bacon or whatever it might be,
Sure.
cheaper lettuce, but we have pretty high standards, so we're going to stick to those.
Do you have a time frame then on how quickly you hope to grow? Because when you do go into franchising, there's a lot of folks who will wave a check in your face and say, I'll take a Mad Greens, please. And you can, if you want, stack your pipeline full very quickly. But to your point here about doing some diligence and ensuring the quality of candidate, sounds to me like that might be something you guys would want to take your time with. So tell me a little bit about the time frame you guys are looking at for expanding this concept of franchising.
Yes. So we are probably taking a more measured approach, trying to grow out from where our brands have name recognition and reputation, to building out from our core markets of Colorado and Arizona and Texas. And our hope is to get 12 units under development, tied up in agreements this year. So really not shooting for the moon, but taking our time, finding the right people. I think those first franchisees to us are critical for setting the standard for what our franchisee will be going forward. So really being particular about who we partner with in those first few is going to be really important. So we have sort of a longer time frame for getting things up and going. While we're starting now, we will. It might take a little time, and we're okay with that. So we kind of have a longer view approach, I guess. If we want to be here 25 years from now and not just 5 years from now, so how do we ensure we're signing up these people for 10 plus years, and that's important to both us and to them.
Sure. Obviously, you've grown this brand to this point through ownership of it, and that the franchisee relationship being so key to franchising. I know a lot of that comes down to skin in the game, as a lot of franchisors like to say, and having some ownership so that you guys are just as much at risk of When you take risks, you're just as much at risk when you do that as your franchisees are. So tell me about the balance of, corporate owned stores versus franchise owned stores, where that goes in the future, how much you guys do want to keep a stake in this business to be able to, test things, have that skin in the game, show your franchisees that you have that ownership. What does that look like?
I think, are probably operators at heart, and less of a salesy, markety kind of a group. So continue to have company ownership is important to us. So we will continue to grow company units, particularly in the Colorado market, where we feel like we know that best. My goal is always to have about 20% of the business be company owned, and at least for the near term, it's going to be well more than that. But
Mm-hmm.
that will always be the goal. To do exactly what we talked about, to do the testing, to prove it out, to be able to show our franchisees, that we know what we're doing, and that we're thoughtful, and that we're in it with them.
Sure. How do you feel about the state of the market for franchising healthy concepts? I mean, it does feel like there are more and more competitors in this space, at least in the healthy eating and salad space in particular, maybe less so in the healthy eating salad franchise category. But clearly, as you get into franchising, the goal here is to grow into new markets. As you get into new markets, you'll encounter new competitors. What does that competitive set look like to you? How will Mad Greens continue to differentiate to ensure you can continue business even in markets with a lot of competitors?
Yes. Well, I think a lot of markets we're in already have a lot of competition, and I think we've held our own pretty well and set a standard. I think the fun thing about Mad Greens is it's partly our name, right? Mad Greens. We're a little crazy, so we have a lot of personality for a healthy concept. It's not a judgy concept. It's comfortable. It's approachable. It's funny. It's lighthearted, and some of our competition is a little more on the serious side. So I think there's room for multiple concepts, and I think the more competition has actually been pretty good for sales, as people find the one that suits them best. But the market has grown as a whole, so there's room for multiple people, and we think we have our neat little niche, and we'll continue to thrive.
Yeah. Am I correct to say that Mad Greens has drive-throughs, that's becoming more a part of the business today? Is that right?
We have one. So we have one
One drive-through.
drive-through
Okay.
in Colorado, and there could be more, but it's not a solely drive-through planned concept going forward.
Okay. I'm just curious because, to me, it feels like when I think about salad concepts in my area and what would lower the barrier of entry aside from price, that sort of convenience, accessibility. I'm like, I have a couple small kids. It's like, if I could drive through, then, done deal right there. Like that helps me. But obviously convenience is another thing that a lot of definitions for convenience and accessibility and how you can make this more convenient to customers to lower that barrier of entry. Do you think about that as Mad Greens goes into new markets? Because I know a lot of your competitors are probably going to be higher price points, so you could probably position as maybe more of a value opportunity. But especially with some of these concepts that are very focused on urban locations, having something that's closer to residential areas might be a positioning. Do you think about those things? How do you feel like that all factors into Mad Green's growth going forward?
I think convenience is key, especially in fast casual. So all of those things get factored in. I think there's a big competition for drive-throughs right now. So I think we want to balance the price of the real estate versus the convenience to the customer. Is it easy to get in and out of? Certainly, I've had a small kid in the back of the car and been through my fair share of drive-throughs for that reason. Get him to sleep and let me get a coffee. But I think that's not a one size fits all. So I think the nice thing about what we're building is a concept that can work in various markets. So um, we most of ours are suburban, so we don't have the need for the urban density, which is awesome. Although we do have some in urban areas, and those perform well. Certainly been performing better over the last year than the couple years before. Um, and we have the drive-through, so we have that sort of proven concept. Convenience can mean different things to different people. So it can mean the drive-through. It can mean I can order with one button on the app. We're always working to making the technology experience more streamlined through online ordering, our app, through we're testing different pay options to make it easier. So if you don't type in everything every time, and really getting to know our customers. So the technology behind understanding your customer more, even outside your loyalty app, is more important, and finding what's important to them in whatever community they're in. So whether it's drive-through, whether it's pickup lanes, whether it's dedicated space, whether it's delivering to an office building, those kind of all those options are ways we see our concept growing in the future.
Got it. Okay, so you're launching franchising for Mad Greens. Is this in the works then for Tokyo Joe's Snappy Salads? Do you feel like franchising becomes something that if you have franchisees in Mad Greens who are now interested in Tokyo Joe's, you can, have a portfolio of brands to offer franchisees? I know that's how a lot of groups tend to operate. Is that something you're thinking about?
We are. So we've just had Tokyo Joe's, for about 6 months, and are working on getting that in a position to franchise. So I see that coming down the road. We're not quite there yet, but certainly we think they're complementary and would appeal to the same kind of franchisee. So so down the road, we plan to have multiple franchise concepts within Salad Collective, and I would say Snappy Salads is not yet something we're planning to franchise, but we're getting that model to the point where possibly that's something down the road.
Got it. All right, Darden, thinking about, 2023, all the challenges of the past few years that the restaurant industry has faced, feels like this year is, certainly more of a return to normalcy, certainly, more traditional challenges facing restaurants than we've had in the last couple of years. But I'm curious, from your perspective, what are the main challenges you feel are facing Mad Greens, Tokyo Joe's, Snappy Salads in 2023? How are you addressing those challenges?
I think traffic is the biggest challenge for 2023. So building back in a kind of more challenging economic environment. So we are tackling that through various channels, but catering being a big one. So building catering back as the back to work has come. That's been a great growth in business for us. Tokyo Joe's catering was a very small portion of their business, and they only did it in a few different locations. So that's being launched out across that system. So catering has, I think, huge potential with that brand. On the Mad Green side, similar catering pushes investment in that, and beefing up our marketing. I think we have been challenged to spend a lot on marketing over the last couple of years as we've needed to invest in supply chain and restaurants and stores. So we have a more intense marketing effort to reach our guests, and then starting to do some refreshes of our stores. So we started building out stores 9 years ago, and it's time to invest more in the locations and make them a more pleasant place to either just visit to pick up or to come and eat in. So
feels like you've got a lot of plates spinning in the air at the moment. And how active are you in wanting to acquire? I mean, is that something that is an urgent need? Is that something you feel like will happen again in 2023? Or is that just as they come, we will take a look at this opportunity for acquisition?
I think we're always looking. We do have a lot on our plate right now. So I think whatever we would look at in 2023 would probably have to be aligned in the salad space or the healthy Asian space, so that we're not adding sort of a third kind of concept idea to the mix. So so we'll be looking at primarily salads, but also if something were to come up on the Joe's side that was complementary, that could be very attractive.
Sure. Understood. All right, Darden, last question for you. And it's kind of, segue from that question, but also the flip of the question about the challenges. What do you see as being the opportunities for Mad Greens and the other two brands as you look ahead in 2023? What are some things you're excited about as being opportunities for this collective?
I, I'm super excited about the collective coming together. So I think we'll find some efficiencies of scale over the next year as we integrate more with sort of that's more behind the scenes. But I'm excited about the direction of healthy eating and the demand and the growth of that as we see other concepts in other cities and states take off as well. I think we're in sort of a natural space for a really bright future and longevity, and this whole idea of it's not a fad and center of the plate being salad, and you can have that as a meal. You don't always have to have a salad. We've got grain bowls and juice and desserts, and you can treat yourself every now and then too. Um, so I think both salad side, I call them salad brands, and Joe's are well aligned with where the future of eating is going. I think we'll always have burgers and fries and chicken, and I love that. Um, but I do think there's just this growing demand and use of healthy meals away from home to reach that convenience factor. Grocery prices are high, so trying to get that healthy meal at home costs almost just as much. So you add the added convenience and something that you don't have to prepare and that's chef inspired and tastes amazing. I think that's the other sort of side to all this is the flavors of salads. I think have come a long way over the last 10 years. With the addition of spice and unique dressings and just different flavors, some global flavors coming into to both the salad side and then on the Joe's side already being sort of an international sort of cultural experience with bold flavors. So I like that we're set up with great bold flavors and fun kind of brands to make you happy.
Sure. Yeah. Good position to be in. Darden Coors of the Salad Collective. Thanks so much, Darden, for your time today. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Sam.
Have you heard about the California Food Service Instant Rebate Program? You can save up to $3,000 instantly on energy-efficient food service equipment when you purchase from participating dealers. Find out more at www.caenergywise.com/instant-rebates and find a participating dealer near you. Skip the paperwork and save instantly on your food service equipment. That's www.caenergywise.com/instant-rebates. That was my interview with Darden Coors, the CEO of Salad Collective. So what should you learn from this interview? Here are my 4 takeaways. My first takeaway is that the healthy category is only just getting started. I know we've talked about healthy eating forever. I mean, it's been certainly a decade since the healthy eating restaurant category has really picked up steam. We've talked about it as the future for a long time. But the fact of the matter is that for the last decade, healthy eating concepts have really remained sort of an urban and suburban restaurant concept. It has not reached into exurban and rural areas. And that is exactly what Mad Greens and Salad Collective, they hope to do. They hope to be able to find pockets of the country that lack healthy food and to take this concept there. Of course, they're going to expand into the suburbs and urban areas as well, but they see a lot of white space in the country and they're going to go after it. Younger generations and kids, of course, are eating healthier too, and there's just so much potential. Healthy eating is not a trend that will go away. Healthy eating is here forever and will only get more popular. Another thing about this too is that with Tokyo Joe's, for example, healthy eating isn't just salads. It's not just bowls. It's not just some of the, plants, veggie forward kind of stuff. Tokyo Joe's is good proof that you can extend healthy eating into global flavors and other categories to make those just as healthy as well and to find more potential across the country. My second takeaway is that having multiple brands in your portfolio can be efficient, but it is no walk in the park. I've talked to a number of operators in the last couple of months. You've probably heard the episodes with folks who are looking at this strategy of having multiple brands in a portfolio, acquiring concepts with some connective tissue to leverage economies of scale, to tap into the efficiencies that come with having multiple brands. And that's exactly what Salad Collective is doing as well. But as Darden pointed out, when you have multiple brands, you have to maintain each brand's unique identity. You have to maintain each brand's marketing. There's so much amount of stuff that comes with each individual brand that you can't just fold into each other. You have to maintain that unique element in each of those brands. Where you find those efficiencies is in admin, G&A, things like that, and certainly is worthwhile to some of these folks out there who are acquiring new concepts. But if you're looking at that strategy, just remember, it's not easy. There's a lot of challenges that come with it you have to be prepared for. My third takeaway is that franchising is a great way to scale, but it is not permission to race ahead. When we talk with franchise concepts, and you think a lot of people see this opportunity to just slam on the accelerator and race ahead with new locations, open as many as you possibly can. And that is one strategy. But I appreciated that Darden talked about the fact that, finding quality franchise candidates is critical, especially your first franchisees. If you are launching a franchise, if you're getting into the franchise game with your concept, you need to remember that your franchise partners, they're partners. They need to be people who can really translate your business to other communities, take control from you over this brand that is so obviously important to you. Darden had this line that I really liked. She said, "I want to be here 25 years from now, not just 5 years from now." And that means you have to really strategically choose those franchisees who are going to help you to do that. My fourth and final takeaway is that catering is a strong solution to lagging traffic. Darden mentioned that traffic is the most difficult challenge that they're facing today. It's probably true for you too. Many brands see the same thing, that traffic is just down. It's hard to get customers back in the stores. But catering, which of course went away entirely for the most part in 2020, catering is a really good solution to look at if you're looking to access new customers or existing customers, but certainly to find ways to tap into large number of customers. Office working is back and it's growing more and more. People are looking for more creative catering options. So if that's not something you're doing yet, look at catering, because it could be a really great way for you to tap into new and existing customers, especially large groups of customers. Those are all my takeaways for today. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please remember to subscribe to Takeaway wherever you listen to podcasts and to leave your feedback. You can also email me at sam.oches@informa.com. Thanks again, and talk to you next week.